Welcome back, guys. It's another Wednesday, 8 p.m. as usual, same time, same place every week. This is the Relationship Gumbo Podcast Live Edition. As you come in, let me know you're here. Replay viewers, we love you too. Make sure that you share and invite this with your friends and family. We have an amazing show and an even more amazing guest. And we have a topic that I have talked about before, but I didn't have anybody who actually came on and actually experienced it and lived it and is on the other end of it. And we also have a book that chronicles the whole situation. So this is a very unique situation here, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure that you share and invite. When you come in, I want you to say hello. Let me know where you're from. And we're going to get it in. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take about 30 seconds. I'm going to make sure everything is populating. We are now live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope simultaneously. So I want to make sure that we're not doing this in vain. So give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo, ayy.
I'm back. So look, guys, we got an amazing show. I'm excited about this show. So what I'm going to do for you guys who are new viewers, the way that we run this is a live podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for 3 seconds, and then I'm going to do the podcast, intro the podcast. We're going to go through the podcast. At the end of it, I'm going to pause for another 3 seconds, and then we can speak freely. If you have any questions or comments throughout the show, if they're pertinent to the topic, then I will address them live. So feel free to comment. Feel free to, speak your mind. Let me know where you're from. And once again, I welcome you, and we're going to get started. We're not going to waste your time. Please share and invite with your friends and family. This is going to be a very powerful show. So stand by. And welcome to the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. We are live tonight. Those of you who are listening on the audio, this is going to be an exciting show. My name is Derrick Jones, and I'm your host. I'm a certified life coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And tonight we have a very special guest. I'm not even going to waste too much time. Tonight's show is titled, Is Your Relationship an Abnormal Fairytale? And you're going to know exactly what that means in a few seconds. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to introduce our special guest, Miss Natasha May. I'm going to bring her up, and I'm going to let her tell us who she is. And then we're going to get right into the nitty gritty of this. Tonight's topic is all about narcissism. So we're going to get into that right now. So stand by. All right, Natasha, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Welcome to the show. I want you to tell people a little bit about who you are. Tell them about your book and we'll talk about the why you wrote the book, but just tell them who you are and a little bit about the book.
All right. Well, my name is Natasha May, and I'm a new author. Just published a book out last week called An Abnormal Fairytale. And I'm super excited to just share it with the world, and so I can just help other people just learn things about narcissism and get it out there.
So tell people what the I don't know what you call it, a caption under the title. It's an abnormal fairy tale. And then, well, I'll read it. It's an abnormal fairy tale. And it says a true story of years spent with a narcissist, a self-help guide. So let's do this. Hold on 1 second, because we're gonna make sure that people understand and feel exactly what this means. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got this book in the mail a couple of days ago, and I read that book in 1 day. And the reason why I read it in 1 day is because I was amazed at not just the story. Like sometimes you'll have like a story that someone that tells you what they've been through, but it's also, when I read it, it was educating me on what this whole narcissism thing is. And it also lets you know how to, I believe it lets you, how I want to say it. It lets you know the different stages, and it also tells you what you should look out for and what you should do to kind of get yourself on the other side of it. So think about that whole life cycle. And when I read the book, I was like, this is pretty darn good, because you got to think about it. In 2020, we're not reading books for real. So when I picked the book up, I was like, wait. And I think that, what was the movie called? The Best Man, when he was like, this a page turner like a mug. I was reading the book like, wait, did that really happen? Wait, you got a real live Lifetime movie. So we're gonna ask you a couple questions. And then I'm gonna just let you organically just tell us how you felt. So first question is, what made you write this particular book?
Oh man, I just went through a lot of different situations, and I just didn't feel like the situations were normal, and it just became a habit. I was just experiencing so many different things, and I said, you know what? I talked to a good friend of mine, and they was like, you need to write a book because these situations, it's not normal. And I was like, you know what? I've never thought about writing a book, and I just did it. I did it.
Right. And so with that book, I guess the question I would have is, you know how people go through these tumultuous situations in relationships, and then you come out on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it had to take a certain level of strength and effort for you to even go through writing the book, and then actually wanting the book to serve a purpose of helping people. So explain to the audience the amount of the nervousness and the guts that it took for you to even get to the point where you actually got the book done.
Well, for one, this was my healing process.
Mhm.
When I started writing it, I used to just cry and just sit in my living room and spend an hour or two just typing every day, just going through some of the experiences that I was going through. And it was just therapy. And all I can think about is I wanted to help others learn about narcissists because I didn't know. I did not know what it really was. I didn't know the depth and detail about it. And so that's what I did. I did a lot of research, and man, when I was doing my research, I was like shaking,
Right,
because it was everything that I was going through, and it was just a scary time, but I
right,
wanted to help others. That's what I wanted to do.
right. And that's really commendable. And like I said, it takes a lot of strength. And what
Mhm.
you'll find as you go through this journey of promoting your book is that every time you talk about it, it's going to be like a therapy session. That's what even with this show, for me, this is therapy for me to even just talk to people and tell people how I feel about certain things. So let's talk a little bit about narcissism. Um, I guess, so for you, with the gentleman in question,
Mhm.
when as you were going through it, you probably, like you said, you didn't necessarily know a name to give it. You were just kind of going through. And so once you went through and you realized
Mhm.
that there was a point where you were actually identified with it, did it make you feel like maybe what the hell is wrong with me? Like, how did I fall for this?
Definitely. Yeah.
Explain to people how it felt once you realized that you've been duped.
Oh my gosh. So yes, I definitely had questions. What is wrong with me? How come I was dumb enough to not see all the red flags? Because all the red flags were there. I just completely ignored them.
Right.
And I had got to the point where I'm like, what did I get myself into? Um, so it was just a lot to go through. Um,
And so this is the one. So one part of the book, because I told you we're not going to give people all the nitty gritty because we need people to purchase this book. But there's one part that I think is very important because I see this a lot and people don't realize how much that the narcissists use this tool. And that's I think it's called oh God, something bombing, love bombing.
the love bombing, yes.
Explain to people what that is.
Okay, so the love bombing stage is in the very beginning of the relationship, where you get gifts and money, and they just basically try to suck you in.
Mhm.
And in mine, I was getting roses every day to my job, not like a dozen or two, but like maybe 4 or 5 dozens, like daily. And I had got to the point where I was thinking like, I don't even think this is for me. I think he's getting a kick out of this, and making him feel good because everybody sees what he's doing, and giving him all these compliments, and so that was the early beginning where I didn't even know what narcissism was, but I did understand that. I'm like, this is not for me. I don't really
Right.
feel like this is for me. So
And
yeah.
so audience, here's the thing to note. I would say women's intuition, but human intuition, like we kind of know when something doesn't feel right. And so I'm going to segue into this next little piece about the title of the book, Abnormal Fairytale. So my question to you is, with the love, and let me touch on love bombing in general for people. I see this all the time, especially men, right? And when I see it, I cringe a little bit because I'm like, it's early and you going really, really hard early with the gifts, like crazy. And I'm like, it's almost kind of like in an extreme case, it's like a dude that you don't know and he gives you a car, right? And you're like, okay, what do you want for this car? And in this case, to the narcissist, they want control,
Mhm.
right? And so the gifts, it feel good,
Mhm.
make you feel fantastic. You're like, wow, he must really like me. And so
Right.
now the reason why I made that point was this fairy tale of this relationship that I believe a lot of ladies dream about having.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that fairy tale clouded your judgment?
Absolutely. Yes, because everything that he was doing and everything that he was coming at me with, I was like, oh my God, this is every woman's dream to have. I was single at that point for about 4 years, and he was different. And I was like, okay, he's different and all, but let me try something different.
Mhm.
He's coming at me like a grown man and doing all of this, wants to take care of me. But oh man, it was not worth it.
So let me, I'm gonna do a little, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna look at these chapters, right? And I'm just gonna pick something at random. And I just want you to talk about a little piece. So um let's talk about the real him.
Mm, mhm.
So so this is important. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm really like strategically asking these questions because I know that there's someone out there who is going through this right now, or they know someone who's going through this. So the questions I'm asking in real time, I know exactly what that person probably needs to hear and what are the most powerful points of this. So there's a chapter called The Real Him, and explain to people why that title for this chapter.
The real him, it was just he was coming out, name calling, belittling me. Nothing that I can do was ever right. Um, and in the beginning, I was like the best thing that ever happened to him. He bragged about me so much to his family, his friends, and then all of a sudden, when we were at home, it was a different story. When we would go out, I'm still the best person in the world for him, but at home, I was treated like garbage.
Right.
So it just was all coming out. The real him was absolutely coming out.
Yeah. And this is kind of like and way back, I can't remember what show it is, but I always talk about how magicians use this trick called misdirection, where they make you focus on one thing while they're doing another thing.
Mhm.
And I didn't, in this particular show, I used the term predator, not narcissist per se, but a predator. And what normally happens is they will give you all of the gifts and the euphoria.
Yeah.
So when the bad thing comes that they do, they want you to remember that. Don't pay
Yeah.
attention to this.
Mhm.
Remember that. And they
Mhm.
feed off of that over time until they get you to a place where it's kind of maintenance mode. And so
Yeah.
now instead of one bad thing, they can throw in 10 bad things and they can say, but remember that stuff?
That's That's right. And the crazy part is like every time he would do something crazy again, he would suck me back in by making a statement, a simple statement like, I'm about to get this big deal closed and it's about to be this amount of money. And, just to suck me back in and see basically what I'm going to be losing if I left him. And I
Right,
would do
right.
that so often. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So when the real him shows up, and once again you have that little, probably that like that little thing in you that says something don't feel right.
Mhm.
And what I want the audience to understand is most of us have that thing in us that says it don't feel right, but the emotions take over.
Mhm.
And when those emotions rule us, we end up staying longer than we should stay. We end up doing stuff we thought we would never do. We
Mhm.
end up getting treated like we thought we'd never been treated. And so, do you feel like there was a point where you looked in the mirror and you didn't even like recognize yourself? Like, who am I?
Yes, I question myself all the time because my happy self, bubbly self wasn't there anymore. And so I would look in the mirror and I would just be like, who is this woman? Because I'm putting up with so much stuff that I've never experienced, and I just felt kind of stuck. And, I just didn't know what to do. I was just stuck. And I didn't even recognize myself anymore, which is
Yeah.
the scary part.
And I see people commenting. Michelle Ford says, "Can't wait until my book arrives." So she purchased the book. Keisha Braswell Holland says, "Great book."
Oh,
Um, so with this book, this is how I felt, ladies and gentlemen. I felt like it was like a Lifetime movie, right? It was almost kind of like the details will make you raise your eyebrows a little bit, and then it's like, you know how sometimes when you read a book and you know the book is like fiction, but it's really like juicy and exciting and you want to read it, but it's not fiction. So I was like, wait, what happens next? What happens next? And I kept going. And next thing I knew, I finished the book. And my wife was like, you read the whole book in one day? I was like, yeah. So Leah Robinson says, awesome book from Facebook as well. So the reason why I say like that a Lifetime movie, a lot of times when we look at like Lifetime and we're
Mhm.
looking at all of these situations that they put on there, and that sometimes it's like really extreme and they have these really crazy titles, and we're like, that would probably never happen.
Yes.
But in reality, your story is the story of a lot. Like as a man, I see other men do it. I see women going through stuff sometimes and they're on the other side of it, and you're like, that's a narcissist right there.
Yes.
And when, ladies and gentlemen, when you read, when you, my wife says I read the book in a few hours. She's not wrong. Um, Erica says he sounds like a Sag. I'm a Sag. She got it right. I don't know what kind of psychic friend you are, but you hit that one on the head. Um, that Lifetime movie is real. It was real life for you.
Yeah.
It's real life for a lot of women, and that's why this book is very important. Not just because I'm just going to keep reiterating this because as a man, like a lot of people that will see this will think this is a self-help book for women,
Mhm.
right? As a man, men need to also realize that you may see yourself in this book as a
Mhm.
man. You may be doing stuff that you don't even know is a narcissistic trait that when you read this, you may say, whoa, that's me.
Mhm.
And then at that point, you may, at some point, oh, the X. Okay, my bad. She said your X sounds like a Sag or a Pisces. Was that true for either one of those?
He was a Gemini.
A Gemini. Okay, we're gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
My bad. I took that wrong. And because I'm a Sag, that don't mean I fit that profile. Okay, Erica. So 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 when so back again to the importance of this book, it will feel like it might be for women, but
Mhm.
it's really a true story and a testament to how some of us men treat women. So
Mhm.
as a man, it's important for you to also read this book because you're going to probably see some parts of some of your behavior in here. And we're in Mental Health Awareness Month, and sometimes you need to gut check yourself, right? Some Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And let me say this, there are some women narcissists as well. Not as many, I
Yes,
feel like
absolutely.
it's more men, but there are some women out there as well. So,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Let's not forget that.
yeah, but I was
So
I'm sorry. In the end, I really felt like I was living in the Lifetime movie. And I think I wrote that
yeah,
in my book as well. It was really scary.
so I want you now to talk about the redemption at the end of it and the self-help part of this book. Like, I want you to talk about what this book will do for someone who's in a situation like this.
This book, I feel like, will help people learn how to not ignore the red flags. That was my number one thing I wanted people to realize. Do not ignore the red flags because I did it. Also, it's going to teach people some of the traits. It's going to teach them what to look out for. And I want even young girls to read it, like in their 20s, because me personally, I'm 42 and I had never experienced this before. So me experiencing it later in life, I'm older now, but the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, I feel like they need to learn now so they know what to look
Right.
out for. Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing I thought was interesting was at the end of each chapter you had questions. So to explain
Mhm.
the importance of why the questions.
Just so people can actually think about themselves and what they're really going through, and see if anything matches with what they're reading about.
Right. And I
Hmm.
think that that's very important because identifying the parts of yourself that you see in it, I think that was the importance of the question. It was like, I think one of them was like, have you ever felt like whatever it was, question mark. And then as you fill in the answer, it starts to trigger things.
That's right.
And I'm always an advocate of one of the main ways that you start to heal is you have to give whatever you're going through a name first. You have to identify with what it is, and then you can say, okay, this is what I'm going through. Now I know what it is. Now we can start talking about how we progress past it.
Hmm.
The other thing that I enjoyed about the book was that you defined terms so that people really understood what those terms were. So I want you to tell people why it was important for you to do that part.
I just wanted people to understand everything, every step by step with the terms and the phases. I wanted it to be clear, and so they can read it with understanding, and
Mhm,
really know what it is. Because, like I said, I did not know what narcissism was until sort of like the end of my relationship, and I
mhm.
really just started researching, and I was just shocked. I was, like I said, I was shaking. I was just like, oh my gosh. So.
So now let's talk about the point where you realize that you were done.
Oh.
And then when you realize that you were done, what steps did you take to start the healing process?
So there is a chapter in my book. It's on Valentine's Day. I'll say that part. Um, and that was about a month after we had separated. And
Mhm,
that's something happened. And that's when I was like, okay, enough is enough. Let me focus on myself and my children and I had to really just sit back and realize who I was before I met this person. I was Tasha, I was a diva, I was independent, I was smart. I was on my own doing my thing, and I had lost all that. So I
mhm.
had to really, at that point in time, had to remember who I was and focus on that. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
And so explain to the audience what steps you took towards the healing process on the other
Um,
side of leaving.
well, writing the book, that was one thing I did.
Uh-huh.
Praying every day. Oh gosh, just reading the Bible, honestly. And just focusing on me. When the relationship ended, honestly, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a job at the time. You know, I had a
Mhm.
little child then. And ever since I started to focus on me, like everything fell into place. I got a
Right.
great job right after that. I got my own place again. And, you know, even when I moved out, my kids were like, Mom, I'm so proud of you because they seen everything that I had just gone through. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you ever have someone that you could talk to, or did you kind of just figure it out?
No, I had friends, a couple close friends. My mother, of course, some family members really helped me out. Um, but I just really just did it on my own, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes a lot of strength,
Yeah, it
uh,
really, really,
that a lot of people don't have. But I
yeah.
want to say this to the audience as well. None of us are on this earth that can do anything by ourselves, right?
Hmm.
You had your mom, you had some
Hmm.
other family members. A lot of people think they can self-medicate, they can self-fix everything. It's always good to have someone in your corner. And if you don't, there are people out here that get paid to help you, right?
Right.
It just takes a step. And that's why I wore this shirt tonight. Silence the shame. It's not shameful for you to think about getting help, especially in this situation with a narcissist. It's kind of one of those things that you kind of don't see coming, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, the type of narcissist, whether it be male or female,
Hmm.
um, it's I believe sometimes the narcissist, like I always talk about, comic book villains, right? The villain thinks he's doing the right thing,
Hmm.
even though it's inherently evil. They don't
Right.
even realize that they're being evil because they think the thing they're doing is how it's supposed to be done. And that's the trick in the elusiveness of someone who has narcissistic tendencies or who is a narcissist. They think that what they're doing is how it's supposed to be done, and you need to accept it.
And they believe their lies. They will
Yes.
lie because they're compulsive liars. They
Yeah.
believe their lies. They will, I mean, to the end. They're gonna
Yeah.
stick to that lie and just that's what they believe in their head. And yeah, they're very just delusional.
Yeah. So I'm glad, and I'm sure the audience is glad that you are on the other side of it.
Yeah.
The the book that you wrote is amazing. And I don't, and my wife will tell you, ain't too many books that I have stacked up. I look at stuff online, but I'm not like a book reader. But this one right here, I was pleasantly surprised and pleasantly like amazed at the intelligence and the learning that you can get from this book. So what I'm going to do, we're going to start to wrap this up. Is there anything that you want to say to the audience, or any parting thoughts that you want to say to the women or the men about narcissism, or even about your book?
Um, I just want everybody to know, my book is not a bashing book. It's a book to help others identify with mental, emotional abuse. Like I said, that whole relationship was new to me. I had never experienced anything like that. So I just wanted to help others, and if I can, that's my goal.
Right.
Um, so
So real quick, a couple of comments. Lawan Stribling from Facebook says they're super delusional. Michelle
yeah.
Ford says, yes, they do stick to those lies. Aisha Shepard says the book was really good. And it is. I done vouched for it about 30 times already in this show. So what I'm going to do, Natasha, is I'm going to put up a graphic. You can speak to the graphic and where people can find you and get your book, but I'm going to put it up and you can speak behind it. So hold on one second. And those of you on the audio, she's going to verbally tell you the website and all of that and where you can reach her, and people that are looking at it visually will actually see the graphic. So hold on one second. All right. The floor is yours.
All right. So my book is now on Amazon. You can get the paperback or the Kindle version on Amazon.com. And then my website just got completed yesterday, which I'm so excited about. It looks amazing. And that website is www.natashamay, and that's MAE.org. You can find my book there. There's cute little shirts on there too as well. but that's where you can find it.
Cool. So we're going to bring you back real quick. And I'm glad that you're here. I know a lot of people that are listening and watching, they probably have gained a lot of information. And if you don't get this book, you got to get this book. And I'm going to address a couple of comments and maybe a question or two here. And then we're gonna get out of here in a second. Leah Robinson from Facebook says, do you believe that this situation will have a lasting impact in your life?
Absolutely. What
she said her context is example with other relationships.
Yes. Well, first of all, now I'm able to set boundaries. Now, I'm not ignoring red flags anymore. When I get men that come to me and just throw out their money to impress me, oh, I'm running the other direction because I get that so much. You wouldn't believe it. I get that so much. So yes, it's definitely changed me, and it's just made me much wiser in dating.
Right. The next comment is Shantae Clifton from YouTube says, you are shining. I met you once. I'm your Aunt Shelly's neighbor. So proud of you. Keep shining.
Yeah.
I don't want to pronounce this wrong. It looks like Lakia Stokes. Proud of you, T.
Thank you.
You have a lot of support out here. And hopefully after this show and all of the promotion you're doing, you'll get a lot more. Like I said, this is a very important topic. It's a very well-written, well-thought-out book. And I don't say that often because I'm a real stickler for language and how things translate to people. And this book is, it speaks to you no matter, like she said, she wants younger women to read it. It speaks to all learning levels, I believe. So this is good. I would hold it up, but I have a green screen and the book is green. So it looks crazy when I put it up. But you guys saw the graphic, and like she said, go to Amazon.com and just search for an Abnormal Fairytale, and it comes right up. Like I vet everything. I was like, what if I type it and it doesn't? I got to search for it. Just search for an Abnormal Fairytale, and it's the first thing that pops up. And please purchase that book. Now we got the comments. It's flowing. I want to get these because I love my viewers, and so. Aisha Shepherd says the book really educates people. And Keisha Braswell Holland says, you are such a great person and you will be fine. Thanks for sharing your story. See, look at that. Oh, so we're gonna wrap the show up. At least here we go. LaJuan Striblin says, I've been wanting to write a book from my journaling from teen young adult years. How'd you get started? That's a good question. How did you get started with the book part?
So I got started actually a year before the separation. The situations were so bad, I started to journal and I started to just write down situations. And so I kind of had a feeling I knew it was going to end at some point, and I told myself, once it ends, then I'll go ahead and just start writing it some more and just put it into a book. But I just started keeping a journal, and I just made it happen.
And so I'm going to read a little more into her question. I think what she wants to know is, what was your first step in actually getting it published?
Oh, okay. So I went through 2 book publishers. The first one, this is so crazy, because the first one was great. She was getting stuff done, but then it came to a halt because she was dealing with her own live narcissist relationship. She had just got married, and she was being physical abused, and it was really bad. So I had to make a business decision and leave and go to another book publisher. And she has been absolutely wonderful. She just helped me put it all together and get it on Amazon. And we took maybe about 6 months to get that all done. So she was absolutely great. Her name, if I can say it, she's on Facebook, and her name is Denise Walker. And she is a publisher, and she is absolutely amazing.
Cool. So replay this video if you need to get that information again. And what I'm going to do, because I see somebody that says, oh, somebody hooked her up with the link. Somebody said they couldn't find it. And Aisha Shepherd gave her the link. So I appreciate that. So we're going to wrap up. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And we're gonna keep pushing this book. Everybody that's out there, please share and invite this video to your friends and family. Anybody that you know may need this information. Anybody that you know needs to be aware of this information for something that may happen later on. I'm always an advocate for stopping the accident before the crash happens. So, so thank you. Any last words?
No, thank you for having me. I was really nervous about doing this, but I'm glad I'm getting my story out there. Yep. I'm just blessed.
And also, audience, if you have a forum or a show or any podcast or any kind of thing where you want her to share this information, please contact her. I'm sure she'd be more than willing to keep sharing it. So, all right. So on that note, we're going to let you go. Thank you again. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna wrap the show up. What I want to do as far as the podcast and how you find the audio version so you can listen to it in your car and all of that. I'm gonna put a graphic up here, but just go to www.relationshipgumbo.net and you can get all of the, life coaching, the merch and finding the podcast. But those of you that are on the video portion, I'm gonna put a graphic up. You can find the podcast literally everywhere you can get a podcast. Just search for Relationship Gumbo and it pops right up and you can listen and binge all the prior episodes. I think we're at about 35 episodes now. So go check it out. A lot of good content, a lot of good guests, a lot of good information. And I have more exciting things to come in the future. So please stay tuned. I have some boot camps and some courses and all kind of craziness I'm trying to make sure that I provide as much value for you as humanly possible. So that we can hack this emotion thing. We can hack, the bad stuff that we go through. That's the engineer in me, right? I'm an engineer, but I'm also a life coach. So I like to go in and kind of put the puzzle pieces together so we don't keep making these mistakes. So on that note, I'm going to let you guys go and make sure you're back here next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. We're going to have another amazing show. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you follow me on social media. Go to relationshipgumbo.net and you can connect to Instagram and all of that stuff. And I guarantee you will not be disappointed because I'm here for you. I'm here to give you value so that you can help yourself and your family. And I'm also here to make sure that, like I said, this is therapy for me. I enjoy helping you guys. So please make sure you come back. So on that note, I'm going to let you go. Have a great night.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast, ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy. Cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in, Relationship Gumbo.